Hi, my name is Danielle D. Smith. I love what I do.
I am an award-winning author and filmmaker, writing coach, instructor, founder of the movement Don't Be Quiet, as well as an advocate.
She's got the answers.
I understand. You are not alone.
Grab your pen and paper, because we're about to drop some gems. It's Amazing with Danielle D. Smith.
Hello, and thank you for joining Amazing with Danielle D. Smith. You guys know I always say I have a special guest and they're near and dear to me. That's because all my guests are special to me. I love all of them. So I am super excited because today I have my sis, Deanna Clark, with me. Listen, we are survivor sis. That's what we call each other, survivor sis. We both are survivors, have been through some things, have gone through domestic violence. But not only that, this my sis for real, y'all. Let's see, we get in trouble together. Yes, we can go ahead and say that. We should not be at an event together. If we are, we should be on opposite sides of the room where we cannot catch eyes. You know, you always have to have that one sis that's like that, right? So that is us. And we both start with a D. Listen, it's all bad. But anywho, listen. This is my sis, and I'm so excited that she's with us because she has a wealth of knowledge. So you guys know I always say get your pen and paper, pull up your notes on your phone, because we definitely dropping some nuggets today. All right, so Deanna, thank you so much, sis, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I am excited, super, super excited to be with you in this dope idea and concept of the whole podcast. I am super proud of you. Always kudos to you. You know, I'm always supporting you.
Yes.
This to me is major to do what you're doing on this platform. Danielle, I know it's going to turn into something great. I know it's going to turn into something good. So I am just honored to be a side of you today and just to be able to talk, rap, chill, and just have dope conversations.
Yes, definitely, thank you so much, sis. But that's definitely what we about to do, is just have dope conversation. You know, we get together and we can talk forever.
Yes.
And we drop a lot of nuggets to one another. And that's really what, sisters do. You know, you've helped me, I've helped you. That's what it's about. And, just supporting one another in each other's endeavors. And I always love that. I always love the support that you give. And so today, let's talk about you. Let's talk about, what is Deanna doing? I want people to know who you are, because you have an amazing story. As I stated, we are survivor sisters. And so tell us about you. Tell us about Live Out Loud, because listen, first of all, I love the concept of it. I love how it's spelled, even down to that. And so tell us what you have going on as well. But first, just tell us about Live Out Loud and Deanna Clark.
Well, Live Out Loud basically started when I had encountered, or after I encountered a domestic violence situation with a guy that I was dating. We dated for, I would say, a year or maybe less than a year. Just noticed that, well, he did the whole charming thing, beautiful. I'm attracted to a smile, pretty teeth, and things like that. And that's exactly what he had. And so upon us meeting, he was very charming, always buying me things and name brand things that, of course, I couldn't afford, or my parents couldn't afford. So I never had those things, but those were things that he did to entice me, take me out to nice restaurants and things like that. And in our dating, I did notice that he drunk a lot, drunk alcohol, or abused alcohol a lot. And so it would be in those moments and times that when he would get extremely intoxicated, that he would flip into this totally different person, where there was a lot of aggression, a lot of the verbal abuse and emotional abuse and mental abuse. And so he was never physical, but that's the thing. That's when people get, abuse twisted and misconstrued. They think if he's not leaving a mark on me. And another thing is, I always put the disclaimer out there that I will use he a lot of times when I'm talking about domestic violence and the person that's being the batterer, because when we look at domestic violence as a whole, we know that men are more likely to be the ones to do the abusing. But it doesn't mean that women can't be the abusers, but that's just something I use in general. But he he was everything besides physical. And so that's what it is. Women tend to think like, oh, he's not leaving a mark on me, I don't got the black eyes, I'm not going to the hospital, it's not abuse, or we good, I'm straight, it can be fixed. No, you're being abused, whether it's mentally, emotionally, financially. That's another thing we don't think about. The financial abuse. He quit his job because he felt like we weren't spending enough time. So I'm the one stuck with paying all the bills, not being able to save and things like that. And so he was that type of abuser. And so those things begin to progress and begin to become more intense. And so it was to the point where, I was so embarrassed. I cut off my family, who knew that I was changing, who kind of knew something was going on, but didn't want to speak on it as much. They said little things here and there, but I chose to ignore them or whatnot. But I remember visiting him and, him going into my phone and saying, hey, I want every man's phone number in every male contact in your phone that needs to be out of your phone. And I'm like, wait a minute, dude, we haven't even been dating that long for you to say something like that. And girl, I chose to put on my blinders and continue on in the relationship, off of his promises of taking me shopping and changing and not doing that and things like that. And so, eventually I just got tired of that abuse. And I can remember vividly on Thanksgiving, us going back to my home city where I'm from, and us being around my family, and him saying, when I get through with Deanna, she's going to be better than all of y'all. And I'm like, it did something to me. But again, I chose to put on my blinders and act like I didn't hear it. And so my dad and my sisters are like, man, did you hear what he said to you? And I'm like, oh, that's nothing, da-da-da. But that was a time where I had realized that he no longer looked at me as a human being, but an object. And so that was something that kind of penetrated in me. And so, like I said, as the abuse got more intense, I was just like, okay, you know what? I'm tired of this. And it wasn't even physical. It was just a whole mental thing of going through everything. And so eventually we separated, but I allowed him to help me move. And so I get into my apartment. I'm chilling. I'm straight. And he decides he wants to come over to get some dishes he let me borrow. And that night he decided that he wanted to play the role of God and try to take my life in his life by shooting me twice at point blank range, and then turning the gun on himself and shooting himself. And so that traumatic experience just threw me in a whole dark hole, like a complete dark hole. And even in times where I didn't think I was in the dark hole, I was in the dark hole. Going to get counseling. Well, reading self-help books. And this is kind of like how Live Out Loud evolved. I started reading self-help books when I went back to Dayton, because that's where I'm from. I stayed in my room just eating these words from these self-help books. And so my mom was like, hey, you've been in the room too long. I think you might be depressed. And I'm like, no, I feel like I'm good. She was like, just check out a counselor. So I did that. And Danielle, girl, what I did was, when I went to go see this counselor, I regurgitated everything that I had read from them self-help books by the T. And she was like, oh, you sound like you're okay. Like, you got everything compartmentalized mentally in a healthy way, so you can come back when you want to. I'm ignorant at this whole getting shot, traumatic, mental, all this. I'm at a complete loss for it. I don't know. And neither does my mom. And so I never went back. Well, I never went back.
Wow.
Never.
And that's crazy because, not crazy. It's common, now doing what you do, being a whole totally different person now, and, doing research and being in this fight of, helping those that are in abuse, which I know you're going to get to, but listen, I'm kind of going ahead of you. But doing that, I know will help you to see what you did. Like, okay, so not saying that it was wrong that you didn't go back then. You felt that you were okay, and mentally you were like, listen, I'm good. The counselor said I'm good. That's like a seal of approval,
Yes.
Right. And so I get that, and so one thing that I do want to speak on, though, is I recall you saying, listen, I thought that we were good because there were no marks on me. You know, and we believe that, you know, domestic violence when it comes to physical is the one thing that people mostly know about. And so all the other ones that you named, mental, physical, emotional, financial, you know, going through all of those things usually happen first. And then the physical comes. It escalates. And you know, I've gone through domestic violence. My ex-husband was mentally, verbally, emotionally, and financially abusive to me. And I would tell him, he would say to me, I've never put my hands on you. I've never hit you. So you good? You know, and I said, your hands have not hurt me. Your hands have not wrapped their hands around my throat. But your words have.
Yes.
Your words put their hand as if they were hands around my throat and tried to suffocate me.
Yes.
And take me out. And I'm going to tell you, I've been through both. I've been through the physical and I've been through the emotional. And I'd rather the physical.
Thank you.
People don't understand that. It's like, but when you get to that mental side, that emotional side, that's going into your psyche. And it's like, that part takes forever to come out. And it's normal. And it's normal, right? I mean, would you agree with that? You know, absolutely. It's normal to, take longer to get over that emotional side. And I tell people it's because you literally got in a relationship with someone. And so a little bit of a wall came down and trust came there. And so why would you not trust and believe your mate?
Exactly. You're confiding in this person. You trust this person, you know, and sometimes we become one with this person. We try to get on the same page. We try to have the same mindset. And then it's just human nature to want to belong. It's just human nature to, you know, have that contact and just to be around someone like you. And so, of course, we're going to shed somewhat to the point where we begin to conform a little bit into the ways of this person, and then to take on their attitude and some of their beliefs, but also some of their beliefs tend to be our beliefs. But just like I go to church, I believe in God and believe in the word. Just like faith, they say faith comes by hearing. It's just like words. When we hear words over and over, we become those words, and we think that we are those words. So if we're hearing you're fat, you're lazy, you're nothing, you'll never amount to anything, which is what I heard in my relationship, I began to take on that and believe that is what I was. And so, yes, it took a very long time to get out of that rut. Because it's just like those words are playing over and over in your mind. So you got to literally break and dismantle this whole mindset that you have. And then also go into not only changing your mindset, but now you got to walk and act a different way. And guess what? Habits run themselves. Like habits, they really do run themselves. And so it's going to take a long time for you to peel back those layers of just those words of selfless worth, you know. But the thing is, going to that counselor, like, I mean, to this day, like, my counselor is my dude, like, he's my friend. And I had to go through 4 of them to get to where I am. The one before him, she was really good. This one, the one that I go to right now, like, he's awesome, like the bomb. But the thing is, I didn't stop at one counselor. When I saw that the first counselor only touched a little bit, and I still had some of those behaviors in me, and I still was thinking the same way, and I was still being attracted to some of those same men, I'm like, no, I gotta rework this. So I gotta go find somebody else, and then I have to find somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So I got to the point where, oh, you know what? Lord, I was about to say something else, but till I had to get to the place where I was just like, you know what? Look in the mirror, and literally Danielle, for the first time, and it may sound crazy, last year I was able to look in the mirror and say, I love you, and I like you. To say I like you, because we're commanded in the Bible, because I go, you know, I'm a believer, we're commanded to love, you know, so love others, love yourselves, but to like, to like yourself, meaning in the differences and the ugly or whatnot, the flaws, I still like you. And so I told myself, like, I like you. And girl, felt powerful, felt like me supporting myself. Like, when you, hold on, I know I'm talking good, girl. When you get to the point where you supporting yourself, and you depending on a man, you're not depending on a clique, you're not depending on a friend, you're not depending on your parent, you supporting you. Oh, that's a bad chick right there.
Listen. You telling the truth, girl. I'm so glad you said that, because yes, when I can hear it all day from you, you my girl, and I know you're gonna support me, and you can tell me, D, you doing good, like, yo, I love what you're doing, but until I believe it, and I can say it when I don't see you, that is the healing, that is deliverance, that's all of that. And yes, when you have been told you're not anything, you're not worth anything, and you start believing that, and it chips away at who you are. And so now when you can say, I am the bomb, and you believe it, listen, and I understand what you're saying. I went through my period too, where I was like, I love you, Danielle. That's one of the most powerful things that you can do, is you say, oh yeah, I love myself. People say that, oh, I love myself, but can you look in the mirror, eyeball to eyeball, at yourself and say, I love you, and say your name. So the moment I looked in the mirror and I was able to say, I love you, Danielle, and not look away, listen, powerful.
Girl, I'm about to shout up in here.
Girl, you talking
a revelation. It's like a revelation, an awakening. Girl, it's just like looking, like you said, looking at you. The reflection of yourself is looking back at you, and you're telling that person that you love you. Girl, it's just like, honey, my parents always telling me they love me, and I do thank God for that. But the love you that I need is the love you that comes from me. That's the love you need.
Come on now.
Girl, that is the love you. And that, it's just, to me, it's mind blowing. It's awakening. And it's so, I'm not, hopefully I can touch back on that. I'm going to leave that one. I'm going to leave that alone and come back to that. But you know what? I will say it right now, because I don't want to forget it. But that time, that moment that I said that, and like I said, it was around last year. It felt like, and I know some people may not get this, but literally, that I had went to sleep that night, and I woke up, and I was tripping. I was laying in the bed, and it felt like I literally had lost weight. And when I say weight, like, it looked like I felt like I was small and skinny. I tripped so bad that I was feeling myself. I'm like, hold on, what's going on? But what I came to realize was that it was and if I can go here, it was literally a spirit that had a spirit, I would say, of condemnation upon myself that I feel had been removed. Because now I'm in a space, and I know you in a space. I'm just in a space where your opinion doesn't matter. I can do what I want to do. If you agree with it or you don't agree with it, I don't care. I'm not moved by it. I'm doing me. And I had a conversation with my mother. I said, Mama, I'm so happy. Like, I'm happy to the point where I feel full and I'm empty at the same time. Like, wow. I'm good. And I truly believe it's because of getting out or getting away from people that did not align to who I truly was. But I first had to discover who I was first.
Yes.
That's why the counseling was important. Going to the counselor and just going, and not even just dealing with the situation of me being shot, but dealing with some other childhood stuff. You know, getting grimy, getting dirty, getting on my knees, crying, getting ugly, those ugly cries, getting to that point. And then coming up out of that and, like I said, pulling those layers off, and now being able to say, oh, chick, you a new person.
Yes.
You
yes.
are a new person. Like, you've been reborn. It's a new awakening. It's like something you have to experience, because explaining it doesn't even do it any justice. Like, I feel like, when they talk about the old wineskin can't go on the new wineskin and whatnot, like that's the type of metaphor it is. Like, the old can't come mixed with new.
Yes.
Got it. The old man has to go. And so when I went through my dark period, like I said, my mom gave me a gun just for protection, and I'm looking at this gun. I'm like, dealing with the post-traumatic stress disorder. Like, hey, I'm sick of these voices. I'm sick of my mindset. I'm sick of everything just continue to go. I'm sick of being in a ball of fear, walking around scared every day because of the aftermath of being shot. Like, I'm sick of it. I want everything to stop. Girl, looking at that gun and saying, if you take it to your head, it can all be over. Going down to the river and saying, if you just jump, it'll all be over. It'll be total silence. So I went through those dark moments, and just to know that, that was a place that I was at, and to look at where I am now, I thank God. I thank God, that I didn't do it.
Yes.
That, I didn't attempt, I didn't do it, it didn't happen, because I understand now that I have a purpose, and my purpose really is not even for me, it's for somebody else. My purpose is for somebody else, and that's how Live Out Loud came about. And it was just like, I started doing Zumba, and that was therapy number 2, because I love to dance, and getting these women in this gym room, and we all having fun, and we're vibing. And so one day I just, I said, let me just tell my story, so they'll know, like, this is not just exercise for me, like, this is a releasing period of a moment. Wow. And so I told my story, and momentum began to gain from there. People started saying, can you do Zumba here, but also tell your story? Can you do Zumba here and talk about fitness and things like that? So it evolved into me being able to stand before thousands of people and share my story, and talk about ways of how to get out of these relationships, how to have, how to transform it to get a different mindset and things like that. And so that's what Live Out Loud is. Like, I was confined to the opinions of people, confined to this box, afraid to step out, was timid, shy, and I'm still shy to a certain extent, but I was like extremely shy where, I couldn't shine and be who I was. And so now it's just like, I want to be able to share something with people, so they don't be constricted to that box, and they're constricted to the opinions of people. And so that's the focus of Live Out Loud. Like, the primary focus is, bringing awareness of domestic and gun violence in the community. But on that back end too, it's all about self-image, self-concept, self-worth, and things like that, so that we won't fall into it. And one of my groups of people that I like working with is the young girls. Like, I love working with young girls, and even young boys, because they're still at an impressionable age. I don't care what people say. So just being able to rock with them and kick it with them and talk about my experience, because a lot of times, people get shot and they don't make it. People get shot and they stay in the dark. So it's just like, nah, you can go through something traumatic and still be okay. Like, the message is there's life after trauma. And so that's what we're doing here with Live Out Loud. And it keeps me on my toes. It's what keeps me going every day, knowing that, I got somebody out there that's like, what's up? I need some help. And I'm the person that's to go back. I feel like I'm the sojourner truth in somebody's life that's going back.
Listen, I love that. I like that. The sojourner truth. Yes. Yeah. And I definitely understand that. It's like, once you get free from yourself, right? Once you get free from yourself, all the bondage that, was really your thoughts. Once you get free from that, the thoughts started from what someone else said about you, but then you took it on as your own thoughts. And so once you're free from that, Listen, I already understand. The feeling that you have afterwards is like, oh my God. And so it's like this love exudes from you, and you just want to tell everybody, like, you're free, you're free, you're free, and you're free, you know.
Oprah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And you get that Oprah feeling, you're like, you're free and everybody's free and let's go together, you know. And I get that because you feel so free, and you want everyone else to feel that as well. And so I love how you put that, you know, just being that one, that contact, you know, because it's like you're that representation. If I can make it, baby, anybody can make it.
Yep.
Because listen, I am low down and dirty, have you know, done my dirt, have felt, you know, so low. And so if I can strive and thrive, baby, it's open to everybody, you know. And that's my feeling. And it's like, yeah, you know, I want to bring everybody on and not take people before their time, because listen, it took time for us to get here, right? And so everyone has their time that they have to go through, their time limit, their time frame, and everything. But just to know that someone is there to hold your hand, just to know that someone is there that understands, you know, that's really how I even got started. It was like, yo, I understand what you're going through, and I'm here for you. And that's what I love about Live Out Loud. So tell us, I know you're an author. Please tell us about the books that you have, because your first book, well, I'm not even going to talk about the second one yet. The first book, when I read it, honestly, we've known each other since like 2007. And I didn't even know about your story when I first met you. So when I started this journey to really, for us to become close, it was like, she's a survivor, I'm a survivor. It only makes sense. And when I read your book, I was just like, yo, she a bad girl. and then it was like, okay, it makes sense that we're connected, not even knowing what our connection was.
Right.
And so it's like, yeah, you know, when you link up with friends, sometimes you may not know what that connection will be until later, just as with us. And I'm like, man, it makes so much sense, because she can understand what I'm going through.
Yep.
She can understand the base of what I've gone through to get here, to experience this, because we've gone through similar things. So tell us about your first book.
So the first book is it's called Survival is Victory. And the weird thing about this book is I started writing it like maybe in 07. No, let me go 7. Yeah, so I started writing it in 07. And it was very difficult to write it. And so I had to put the pen down. I put the pen down on it because so many things began to come up. And I didn't know how to feel about them. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to put them at mentally. And so I said, yo, I gotta let this thing go. And so I put it down. I put it down for a minute, like some years. And so what ended up happening was I ended up writing the second book that came out. And so I was the second book, like Danielle, I had a conference for it. People ordered the book and everything. And so I ended up, that's around that time, I ended up meeting this PR guy. And so he was like, send me what you got. And I sent him that book, and he was like, okay, no lie, the book is good. But how you gonna tell somebody what to do when nobody even know where you came from? And I'm like, excuse me? He was like, you can't tell nobody what to do when they don't even know what you came through, what hurdles you overcame. He was like, my suggestion is that you write a book about your story. I was like, well, I had started. He was like, don't bring Jack out until you tell the people where you come from.
Exactly.
And girl, I died. I cried. I boo-hoo. And he wasn't even moved by it. Like, hey, I'm telling you what I know. I've been out here doing this thing. I know what works. And so, girl, I had to suck my tears up, wipe my eyes, and get the pen back in my hand. But before I could do that, I went to counseling. I started going back to my counseling. And so that was able to, that helped me be able to get some things out, compartmentalize them mentally in a healthy aspect, and be able to put it on paper. And so I knocked it out. Knocked it out. And, the finished product came about, and I was just like, wow, this is totally amazing. And got the book out, and basically it talks about the basis of it. It does talk about my experience of dealing with domestic violence, but to me, it's a self-help book. Actually, I'll call it a tool, because I feel like there are nuggets in the book where you can get these nuggets and apply them to your everyday life, or your relationship, or your mindset, and things like that. And what I do like about this book, what I put in it was, at the end of it, it gives you a reflecting moment. So you read the chapter, and after the chapter, you get to reflect on it from your own life, and from your own perspective, and the things that you're dealing with in life, and you get to jot those notes down, because there's something about the mind connecting to when you write something down. It penetrates you. You're able to remember it or whatnot. And so I allow those people that do have the book, I give them the opportunity to be able to reflect and jot things down, and to see them before their face and say, hey, look at me looking back at me, and how can I fix this, or what do I need to do? So I think my favorite part of the book is the part that talks about a support system. And so in that part where I talk about the support system, it's kind of like, what does a support system look like in a domestic violence relationship, or with the person that's experiencing domestic violence? And I go on to explain how, if you know someone that's in this situation, try to create a comfortable environment for the one that's loving, encouraging, and things like that. That's kind of lighter than this environment that they got to go back to with this abuser. And setting that environment up for your friend or whatnot, you kind of give them something to measure, where it's like, well, when I'm with my friends, I'm feeling empowered. They're telling me I'm beautiful. They're encouraging me. They're inspiring me. But then when I go back home to him, he's beating me. He's making me feel selfless and I'm not capable, and things like that. And my concept with that is, if they keep bouncing back and forth between these environments, eventually they'll wiggle away from that negative environment, and then will go over into the environment that supports them more. And so, and because a lot of people they ask the question, girl, get your bags together and just leave the nigga. Girl, she gonna get killed.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like, it's a transition. It's a transition, because I'm pretty sure and we both probably share the same, where there were times in our mind where we visioned leaving, but it was like, nah, not right now. Or we did leave and we went right back. So it takes time for that. And so I think having that good support system set up would definitely allow that person to be able to back out of that relationship. And so it doesn't even have to be a domestic violence relationship. It can just be in anything, just creating an environment of support for someone where they feel like, hey, I can do what I need to do in order to get to the point to where I want to be, or to be whoever it is that I want to be. So that's like one of my favorite parts of the book. But yeah, it's a good book. I've gotten good feedback from it, from people that are actually, they're in the situation as they're reading it and saying, hey, I got what I need, and now I can kind of put these tools together and create a plan. And it was definitely written in a very simple format. Both my books is written in very simple formats, and especially this one, it's like all me. So I'm giving you everything you need quickly, so you can create something, a plan to activate and get out of the situation that you need to get out of. Because this may go to the shelter with them, where I need to get something quick, fast, in a hurry, or this may be in the home with them, where they need to read something real quick and try to get something together. So I thought I kept my mindset in the mind of a survivor, So I love it. And I always go back to this book every now and then to keep myself in check, so I don't fumble back into a relationship that I was in before. And it helps me. It has helped me so many times to be like, you know what? I see this is what I'm seeing. So come on, Deanna, like get out of it, girl. And this book has put me on platforms like Essence, the Essence Fest, the Essence Magazine, Tom Joyner Morning Show. It's put me in the doctors and things like that. So like I'm grateful for this tool because it's opened up so many doors to be on the platform to say domestic violence is an issue that does not affect the person that's experiencing it, but it affects the family, it affects the community, it affects the neighborhood, it affects our state, and it affects our nation. And people always be like, well, how does it affect me? I'm like, hey, we the taxpayers. So when she got to go to the hospital, she can't pay the bill. She don't got insurance because he told her that she can't work. So we paying for that as a taxpayer. When he go to jail, we paying for that as taxpayers. Yeah. When the child hey, you know about this, when the child get removed from the home, we paying for that, for the foster care people, you know. So it affects us. Then that child grows up and they may be a terror to, you know what I'm saying, whoever. So it does affect us as a whole, as a, you know, a nation and things like that. So
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because when you can see, well, I've never been through it personally, you know, and you get a lot of people that say that, and you're like, first of all, I'm glad you never have. But you know someone that has, you know, nowadays with social media, you know, trauma, we see trauma all the time, directly and indirectly. And so it's like you personally, it may not be in your home, but it's in your neighbor's home. It's, you know, next to you, across the street from you, your cousin, your auntie, your coworker, somebody is dealing with it and it's going to affect you. And I like how you broke that down. So yes, your book is amazing. And I'm so glad you brought up that point in your book because that's what I was going to bring up. That was my favorite part as well, because it gave you the tools. It let you know, it will let me know I wasn't alone. You know, and so it's like when you can see that, you know, one of the things that we talk about is reshaming. So if my friend comes to me and says that they're dealing with this and you say to them, girl, you just need to leave, girl, I can't even believe you're dealing with that. That's reshaming, and that makes them go back into a shell and they don't share. And so it's like, well, I can't talk to that person, you know, so you do want to be that safety net for people. If you don't understand, read up on it, baby. You know, it's like, don't reshame them and put them back into that hole, you know. So thank you so much for sharing that. Now tell us about this second book, because baby, let me tell you, I see a difference in you, and I can say that because we've been friends for some time now. And your first book, amen, is cute. I love it. Listen, and I say cute very respectfully, but this second book, baby, listen, it's on a different level, and I'm so proud of you. This book right here is fire. It is growth. And so it's like, yes, read that first book. So that second book, you can take it in. You can really let it penetrate your heart, the words that are on the paper. So talk about this second book.
So so again, like this second book was written, and it was written in between the first book because this was a woman that I wanted, or I inspired to be like, oh, I'm not, this is not who I am, but this is who I want to be. And so she's a bad chick, like taking no game, playing no game, taking names and kicking behind, and by any means necessary. Like she's come into herself. She knows who she is, and so like really like when I thought about like how society is set up, you know, and I talk about it in the book, Top Shelf Lady. Big mamas are no more. You know, we have no more big mamas. Like in actuality, Danielle, we are the big mamas. Like you know, with people our age that are grandmas. Not one time, 2 times, so 4 times grandmas. And so look at us, like I'm still kicking it, you know, I'm still doing me, you know, but big mamas they're now our age, but big mamas when we were growing up were 70, 60 something. They were settled, they had their fun. Now it was time for them to groom the younger women and being ladies. And so we're absent of that now. We have that no more because we're still trying to learn how to be ladies at the age that we are. And so we are missing that in our community, those older women that would say, honey, sit down now, sit down and let me school you for real.
Right. Yeah.
The way you acting is unladylike. Totally unladylike, and it's unacceptable. And yeah, he may be doing X, Y, Z, but you as a woman, you need to represent yourself as a lady. And some things you may want to do, but you cannot do because you have a character to uphold. Whether you're a mother, whether you're working in a Fortune 500 company, whether you got your own business, you have a character to uphold, and we're missing that. We are missing that. Like, we are having these conversations with ourselves. We the same age, and we're having these conversations with ourselves. But there's this one lady at the top that we're missing. And I so kind of like reflected back on some of the conversations that I had with my grandmother and both of my grandmoms, and was just like, I implemented that in this book. And so some women may not agree with some of the things. Like, my whole thing is, we're not dependent on the government. It's okay. It's okay, to start off on the government, because we, as children, my mom had to do that too. She had to get the food stamps. She had to get some assistance from the government. But at the end of the day, she said, it's time to cut them off. I'm going to go get another job. And what's going to happen, I got 4 kids, is going to help me work this other job, because I'm not dependent on the government telling me when my money comes in every month. No, so we're not dependent on the government for nothing. We're not dependent on a man. Not saying we don't need a man, because, and as I talk about,
that clear.
We got a coach that's coaching our child. We got a teacher that's teaching, and he's a male, he's teaching our child. We got a mentor, and he's teaching our child. So we do need men. But we shouldn't put ourselves in a position where we need to depend on the man, where if we ain't got it, the only direction we can look towards is a man for it. No, honey, we go out and we make it happen. We make it happen. If we got to work one job and 5 side hustles, that's what we do to make it happen. So we're not doing that. And then even, girl, I talk about sex, and I was just all the way rude when it came to sex. We as women, a lot of times, we're not as sexually inclined as men are, and I would say that at least till we get like to our 40s. It's kind of like, we're in the world of this feeling.
Listen.
I'm like, hold up, God. This is different. Like, should I be feeling this way? I had to have a conversation with my mother, like, okay, Mom, I'm feeling like this, and I never felt it. Like, it's not, and I say, I'm not feeling like this once a month.
Right.
Something's wrong. She was like, no, baby, you're of age now. So it's willing in more quickly now. And I'm tripping.
Come on, Mama.
I'm tripping. I'm just like, are you serious? But I mean, it's a part of womanhood.
Yep.
It's a part
of
womanhood. Yeah. But I talk about, how sometimes we as women, when it comes to having sex, a lot of times, like, we're not inclined to have sex with our mate, or if we do, it's to get ours off, and then we turn around, look at the wall, and go to sleep. But hey, your husband, what about your husband? Like, we gotta fulfill, their desires and pleasures too, because this is when infidelity comes in. This is when the side chick comes in, because we're not taking care of our part sexually. No, sex is not everything in a relationship. But let's be real, to men, it's everything to men.
Yeah.
Men love sex. Right. And so it's like, we as women have to appease to that. If we're calling ourselves being in a relationship with them, like, that's something that we would have to do. And so this is talking about sex, talking about emotions. Oh God, and I'll even be honest, we're driven by our emotions a lot of times. We are. We make a lot of decisions, and so. I can recall one time where I was going out on a date with this girl, and he said something I didn't like, and I was like, "Oh, take me home." But he was like, "You know what? You're being you're in your emotions right now. Like you are way left with this, you know, just chill out. And I'm like, no. And he was like, I ain't taking you home, girl. I grabbed the steering wheel and started turning the steering wheel in my emotions. Like we could have wrecked and crashed and everything. I'm just like, girl, what was you thinking about?
Right.
Get out of your emotions. And so because to me, when we in our feelings as women, we make some reckless decisions. We end up in some crazy relationships. We end up at the store running up our credit card and like just all out of emotions. And so, and that's not, I talk about finances. Get your credit right. Get your money right. Have you a savings account. Work on getting a 750, 800. Like, don't try to worry about, you know, when the next guy gonna come or whatnot. Work on yourself first, because if he see you working on yourself, he definitely gonna be attracted to that.
Come on now, that's the ticket right there. When you working, yes, that's what they're attracted to. Yes,
you got to work on yourself. Work on yourself. It's a lot. Like I talk about a lot. Like people that read it, they're just like, wait a minute now. Like you hitting me in my face with a boxing glove, and I have to put this book down because I'm just like, she talking about me, you know. And that was the point. The point of this book was literally to get you in your raw self, to strip you naked, put you in the mirror, and say, hey, girl, you come on. This is you. This is you. Deal with it. Deal with it. Work it. Deal with it, work it, and get on the right path. You know, it's self-reflection, basically.
Well, you definitely did that with this book, sis. Like, for real, you definitely did. I definitely, you know, and I feel like no matter what stage you're at, whatever level you're at, you know, because I feel I'm good. Like I'm good right now. I'm good emotionally, spiritually, like my mind is right. But I still read it and was like, okay, let me still make sure.
Yes.
Let me reassess myself, because it was like, yo, let me make sure, because that's the thing. We always want to make sure that we stay good. We stay even better. So I'm so glad that you came out with this book, because it meant a lot to me, and not just for myself, but it meant a lot for me to see it come out of you. And I see the growth in you, sis, and I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you that I mean, it's like, I can't even express it enough. So thank you so much for your first book, your second book coming out, both, because they are tools to help us, you know, and we can say that it's for women, but it's for men too. There are some men out there, like we said, that have dealt with domestic violence. We definitely understand it. We definitely believe you. And, you know, I talk to women. I say, quit hitting men. Like, just stop. You know, because you're starting something that you don't want to finish. Really, honestly, you really are. And so thank you so much for both tools that you've given. Please tell us how we can find these books. Please tell us how we can find you to even book you to come and speak to, you know, different women, children. Well, I won't say children. I know you love the teens. So mostly you've been with the teens, but tell us how we can find you, your books, and book you as well.
Yes, so definitely on social media, Deanna Clark, DIONA CLARK. Also, that's Facebook. On Instagram, it's Deanna Live Out Loud. They can go to my website to check out the books. It's liveoutloudforyou.org, and it's LIVOUTLOUD, the number 4, the letter U.org. But I did want to say too, something that I just recently did for women, because again, that's kind of like where my heart is. I came out with my own lip gloss or lipstick line. And so I'm excited about it, because I was able to name them, and every color like has a meaning behind it. I believe, you know, everything being purposeful. So like I'm wearing Top Shelf Lady right now. It's pink. But again, it's Top Shelf Lady, and as I explained, the book, that's the vibe. Like that's the vibe you get when you put this on your lips. And then we have, I have the I'm a Survivor, which is purple. You know, dedication to purple being the color for domestic violence. And so, putting this on and just having that strength and tenacity to continue to just chop down each day, chop down your situation, and things of that nature. Also, this one is called The Powder Room. It's a light pink color, kind of like a powder color. And so this is kind of like reflecting on, you know, just your life, where you've been, where you want to go, and your aspirations and things like that. And so let's see, this one is Around the Way Girl. Like, this one always reminds me of my mom, because she used to wear this when we were younger. It reminds me also of like LL Cool J's Around the Way Girl video.
Yes.
They had that dark lipstick back then. And so to me, the Around the Way Girl is, I know people have a different concept for it, but when I thought about Around the Way Girl, I thought about, you know, just one that's a boss. She can get down in the streets, she can get down business-wise, she can hang with friends and things like that. And so the last one is Girl on Fire. So this is the one that got a bad attitude, like not an attitude where I can't stand you attitude, but just the attitude where it's just like, I'm not taking it anymore. Like, I'm getting what I want, I'm getting what I deserve. I'm not letting anybody in my way. I have tunnel vision. I'm going for what I want.
Yes.
And so she's on fire. And so every lipstick has a meaning. So I'm so excited for it, because again, it's literally a vibe behind every color, and I want to color too. So
congratulations, sis. Listen, it makes sense. I tell you that all the time. Everything you do, it makes sense. It's making sense in your life. It makes sense for you to come out with colors that mean something. That's you anyways, you know, you're always fashionable, and I love that. And you're just like, yeah, this is who I've evolved into, and it's me, and baby, you roaring for sure. So once again, tell us how your website again, please.
Yes, Live Out Loud, www.liveoutloudforyou.org. And again, that's where you can get these 2 books, and then also the lipstick. So Live Out Loud, www.liveoutloudforyou.org. Danielle, thank you so much. I appreciate you, girl. You know I love you. You already know. I can't even say it, but you know how we roll. So I thank you.
Yes, and I do. I definitely know that you love me, girl, and I love you too. So listen, you guys, please support my girl, please, because she's doing amazing things. And, you know, as I stated, I've read the books, not just to know her story, but to reflect as well in my own life, to know, hey, I can always work on me, because I do look back at that worksheet section that she has in the book, and just make sure that I'm staying there. What did I write in 2018 that, you know, can still help me in 2020? I want to make sure that I'm still staying to course, that I'm still staying on my goals, that I'm still staying where I need to be and where I want to be, and even better. And then top shelf lady coming out telling me, yes, I already knew I was a boss, but baby, let me stay a boss. That's what's so important. And I have a young one. When she's 17, she's not a young one. And so I always want to be better for her. So I have to make sure that I'm good so that she is good. And if that's important to me, then listen, I have to stay that way. So both books have helped me, and not because she's my girl, because I had to take that title away and really take in what she wrote and be able to say, let me assess me. Let this book help me, because it's important for me to thrive and strive. So thank you so much, Deanna, for joining us. I definitely appreciate it. I know you guys got some nuggets, because that's what she gives, okay? And you know, that's what Amazing with Danielle D. Smith is all about, is helping you guys. We want to inform you. We want to give you nuggets. So I know that you've been blessed, and I know that you've received something from this. I don't even have to ask. So check us out. Thank you for joining us this time, and continue to join us every single episode. I'm always going to bring somebody that's amazing to inform you about something that you need in your life, okay? Whether it's a guest or just me, myself. Continue to subscribe. Continue to watch what we have coming up next, and tell a friend, all right? So thank you so much for joining. Make sure that you listen to our next episode. Thank you for joining Amazing with Danielle D. Smith. Peace.
Hi, my name is Danielle D. Smith. I love what I do.
I am an award-winning author and filmmaker, writing coach, instructor, founder of the movement Don't Be Quiet, as well as an advocate.
She's got the answers.
I understand. You are not alone.
Grab your pen and paper, because we're about to drop some gems. It's Amazing with Danielle D. Smith.